host, Sean Lynn, in the pub for a Dram with friends, where we talk about faith, family, food, and fun. Pull up a chair and I'll pour you a drink. Episode 99. We are extremely blessed to welcome Deacon Cory Johnson into the pub, where he's going to talk about being a warrior for Christ. Sit back as I pour us a dram. So yeah, I know you would have a tequila if you were here, and I'd pour you one, but unfortunately, I'm allergic to tequila, I think, so I haven't tried for many, many years. My throat started swelling up last time I tried it, so...
No. Well, listen.
There you go. Well, I'm going to have a Waterford Irish single malt whiskey, the Curve, and it's... I curate whiskeys for the Knights of Columbus men's night out, and we got one coming up in September, and they let me have the dregs of one of the bottles for the show, so I'm going to have a little bit of that one.
It's a nice bottle. It
is. It's very nice, and I got my Lynn family heirloom crest on the glass that I got as a gift, so... Thought I'd break that baby out today.
Break it out.
For my special guest, Deacon Cory Johnson.
Break it out.
So who for the friends in the pub, who is Deacon Cory Johnson?
Deacon, wow. I'm still not used to it. Hey, it's been 9 months I've been ordained, and I'm still not used to deacon. So I walk by and people say, "Hey, Deacon Cory." And I'm like, "Ooh, who's that? Who are you calling?" So who is Deacon Cory? Deacon Cory is a fervent Catholic, new Catholic. Was baptized, I would say, 14 years ago. Was drawn by the Lord. Followed his path, answered his call, and today here we are, with much turmoil and adversities in the previous life, and now in the new life we are living the mission.
So what you're saying is becoming a committed Christian Catholic or Catholic Christian can affect your life.
Little bit. Wait, can we cheers?
Cheers.
Cheers, brother. Thank you for having me.
So you and I met last year at the summit, the Heroic Men Leadership Summit, and I had gotten a hold of you through your friend Corey Jolly, who somebody said, "You got to call Corey Jolly in Montreal," and the Lord has done the rest, as it were. And I think you and I hit it off really quickly when we were down in Philadelphia last year.
Absolutely. I still reminisce and talk about that retreat. I tell everybody, I said, after the first opening hymn of the Mass, I could have went home right after that. The 200 or 180 men singing the entrance procession was absolutely crazy. I loved it. So yeah, we did hit it off after that. Once we met, we got to talk, and you kind of heard the story and where I was going, and I heard yours. Being an ex-cop and with the gangs and everything. It's hey, it's all good.
Yeah, and that's where it's interesting, and I really get this sense that God is putting this army together, as it were. Yeah. If you want to use that terminology, I've heard that used. Some maybe don't like it, but we are the church militant, right? And it's amazing the connections that God has been making. and I know doing this job, I am so encouraged where a lot of people get discouraged by some of the stuff they see. I am so encouraged by the growth of ministry to men in Canada and beyond.
Mm.
So,
I love that you used the military quotes, right? Knowing that I don't know if you remember, but I'm ex-military, right? I'm ex-RCD, Royal Canadian Dragoons. I'm a tanker by trade. So, I use many military or army metaphors when I'm preaching or when I'm talking to somebody who's looking for some help and who maybe needs a kick in the butt, right? So it's definitely a good a good resume to have when you're called to this mission of warriors and soldiers for Christ. Absolutely.
well, and that's imagery that a lot of men can resonate with. It's because we've watched the movies and it's a it's an easy thing to picture a heroic men in that instance, right? Because
Mm.
we're all called to heroism in our own way, but it's easier to see that in the movies and stuff when you're in the battle and you're saving your brothers and
You know, I love the analogy, and many men have not been in live fire situations, right? But they've been through life fire situations.
yeah.
It's the same thing, How you approach defending a line is the same way you approach defending your family. Just guys aren't taught it, or they just don't know it, or they don't think they have the confidence to do it. And it's like, so this heroic man in that ministry and that retreat last year, I've been lighting fires on people, just saying, listen, you got to stand up and just believe in what you believe. You believe in the Lord. You believe in his church. You believe in the teachings. Let's go. Let's stand front and let's protect the house.
Well, and I think what we're talking about, and this is my personal, not that of God Squad Canada, the Catholic Church, or any other organization I may be affiliated with. How's that? I practice that a lot as a police officer too, because these are personal opinions. They're not
Yes.
facts. But
Yeah.
I think so many young men especially have never been tested. Uh, like when I grew up, getting in a fist fight was pretty common. Because boys wanted to test each other out, like meet you at the bike racks after school. Now it's texting so that you can jump the guy with five of your friends. It's never a fair fight, and so there's never been that controlled aggression, and so many young men have never learned how to fight or how to protect themselves because we've that's dangerous masculinity, right?
Well, that's what they're teaching nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you can't voice an opinion or else we're going to get upset and we're going to come and fight you with five of my guys. We have to go back to almost the foundations, right? Of basic confrontation. People don't know how to have a decent argument and still love another, right? We can
Yep.
disagree to agree. And then, we take everything so to heart. And it's like, it's just your opinion. You can voice your opinion. You're not going to get hurt here. I love objective. Oh, it's all good. Let's go. However, when I speak, you have to listen the same way I give you the grace of listening. So let's learn how to conversate again.
Well, for those in Canada, our US brothers might not understand that a man from Alberta having a whiskey with a man from Quebec
Yeah. Yeah.
would be contrary to the narrative, right?
Yes.
Because we're supposed to hate each other. And there is some truth to it, to the it's like police and fire, right? Like there's
Yes,
that
yeah.
healthy competition.
Healthy.
Or
It's like the Royal Canadian Dragoons and the Strathconas. You know,
yeah,
we always do that, but it's all brotherhood in the end, right?
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
we're all fighting the same battle, and you in Alberta, me in Quebec, we still have a perfect conversation. We still agree that Canada is the greatest, and we go from there.
yeah.
Common ground,
I don't
bro.
know if the Americans are going to understand that, but it's good to speak to a fellow Canadian. And yes, there is a Catholic Church in Canada,
Yeah, we
and
don't
we've
live in
got men
igloos.
here defending her.
And we don't live in igloos. We're not wearing rackets on our feet. It's 39 degrees here with the humidity. It's hot. So I'm
Well,
like, we're
yeah,
the same as you guys, just a little more north. Maybe a little
yep.
more common sense. Well, maybe not much more, but still.
No, no, it depends who you're talking to.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if we can hold on to that one. That's what the alternative is trying to preach, a common sense approach. So and actually, it's interesting going down south for the last summit. A number of the Americans are well aware of him, and they'd like to get him down there.
Yeah.
So a common sense approach that seems,
Yeah. We don't teach
but
it anymore, eh? Common sense?
yeah. Well, and that's back to our talk about the fighting. Part of it is there we don't teach resiliency
Yeah.
to young people, and to learn to get up off the mat
Yeah.
is that's like I had an interview with Brett Powell, and failing is leads to wisdom and leadership. And if you never learn to get up off the mat, you're never going to succeed.
Absolutely. And school can't teach you that. It's living life will teach you that, right? So I'll give you a prime example. Yesterday, I had somebody. We had a mass at 9 o'clock and then a mass at 11. So right at 10 o'clock, somebody approaches me. They tell me they're going to leave the Christian faith. They're going to leave Catholicism because they've had too many deaths in their families since they've become Catholic. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, interesting point, right? And I'm like, but why are you going to give up now? So it resonates in me when you say that young people are defeated right out the block because they don't know how to deal with certain emotions and certain traumas and certain issues in their everyday life. We look at 22-year-olds are trying to act like they're 42-year-old, and it's like you need to get the time in. Time in is important here. you
Yep.
know so speaking to this person, I said, listen, you can't make any rash decisions when you're mourning, when you're grieving. I get it. So come and talk to me in a few weeks and we'll touch base and we'll see and we'll work it through. But it's either black or white. There's no movement anywhere where they're using a little bit of common sense and just living through their emotion that they're feeling. It's hard to resonate through these kids nowadays.
Well, and like I did 19 years of peer support training, and when I was offered this job full time, I it was right after my dad's death, and my daughter was given birth to twins, and my son got engaged. And I knew through the training, through the years of dealing with stuff, that was not the right time to make those kind of decisions. And
Yeah.
that's what you're talking about but you're also talking about walking accompaniment
Yeah.
with this person. Yeah, I understand it's hard right now. I'm here for you. Let's
Absolutely. You know what I told them? I said, listen, you have a doubt, you call me. You want to walk, you call me. You want to scream, you call me. You want to fight, you call me. So it's walking together, right? but in a way that is nurturing, comforting, but also manly. Listen, I'm not going to coddle you, but I'm going to tell you this is the way. And this
Yep.
is what we need to teach our young men and women and girls. They both need it. It's
Well,
shocking. It's shocking, these kids nowadays.
and that's where I'm really excited about where we're going, and the whole premise of strengthen the man, strengthen the family, right? Strengthen the
Yeah.
family, strengthen the church. And it's exciting to be on mission with men like you who heard the call and say, pick me, put me in the battle.
Let's go.
So what did you do in the army? You said you were in the tanks?
I was armored recon, so I worked in the recce squadron for my time in. Essentially, fantastic. You know, we were forward observance. We would gather information, intel, relay it back, and let the other troops go in, and we moved on to other tasks. So essentially, I would drive many kilometers and walk many more.
I see. So
Yeah,
did you what countries were you able to see, or did you
I saw many countries.
many
I
countries
saw
there?
many countries in my time. And you know what? It came to a point, and this is where I came to a little enlightening period. When I started questioning, why am I here? You know, and when you're starting to question like that in the military, you know, that's when things are going to happen. So, you know, I said, I think this is enough. Um, and I got out in record time. I got out. I signed my honorable discharge 1 month after I made the decision.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not usual. I got out crisp and clean. So you know what? I think that's what saved my sanity, because a lot of people, when they want to get out, it's drug on, and then they just decide to stay. And mine was just clean and clear. And I think God had a plan for me, because I was not Catholic then. So once I left the military, I met my wife, my new wife, because I was married before out of the Catholic Church, and my wife brought me into the church. So, you know, we have this affinity for the St. Joseph's Oratory, and that was my actual first mass in the crypt on Christmas Eve.
Wow.
So if you could
Wow.
imagine Christmas Eve in St. Joseph's Oratory crypt at midnight, I said, you know, I don't know what's in here, but I know there's something.
That's your
And
first exposure to the Catholic Mass.
first exposure to the Catholic Mass. If you would have asked me the day before, what is a crucifix? I would have said, I have no idea. Imagine. That's how raw I was.
Wow.
That raw. Like, you would have said, who is Jesus Christ? And I would have been like, I don't know. I don't know. I had no idea. And you know what? I'm grateful that I was blind like that, because I had no preconceived ideas of what Catholicism would have been until I started actually coming into the church, you know, and then learning about ministry and learning how to serve the Mass and why the Mass is important. So I had great, great mentors in the Catholic Church so far. Great mentors.
Wow. That's that's the hope that I'm talking about, that I'm
Yeah.
seeing.
Yes.
And to be hanging out with you in the pub here just brings me great joy. And I'm worried for you, because if Bishop Scott sees this episode, he's going to say, "What? A deacon in the military? I think he belongs to me still."
Hey, I'm always up for service. You know, we don't lose that knack, right?
Yeah.
We don't lose it. And you know, this, you know, everybody's like, "Oh, why did you leave the military?" I said, I'm fighting a different battle. You know, I
Yep.
used to coach football. Why don't you coach football? You were a great coach. You were a great player. And I'm like, because I'm coaching other things now. I have a new coaching method, and I have a new team to coach for. So that's why we're here
That's
today.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's so awesome, and that's why I'm excited to work with you and Cory.
yeah,
And I've been reaching out. We've been missing each other, so we got to get back into some regular chat times with us because I just love talking to you guys, and I'm
yeah,
really excited about what you guys are doing in Montreal, which is, well, we just saw what happened in France,
yeah,
and you guys are the same thing happened to Quebec where it was the eldest sister of the church in North America,
yeah.
and like a lot of Americans might not understand the history of the Catholic Church in North America, but it came through Quebec.
Yes. Well, the first missionaries came through the Lachine Canal. I live right on the river, so I have this affinity. I live in the middle of of Lachine, where the first fur trade was, and Verdun, where the first migrants came, where Sainte Marguerite Bourgeois, where she built her schools for the girls, for all the nuns that lived in Montreal. We're so rich in Quebec in Catholic history, but that is what killed us in the long run, right? So all of this missionary work in the beginning, now in Quebec, our Catholic churches are closing in a rapid rate because the rooted Quebecois are not going to mass. They don't
But
believe in it because the priests in those days would pound on them that you were going to hell. Well, if you're doing these certain things, you're going to go to hell, but there's ways to repair that, and they weren't teaching that.
well, and like I don't know if you follow Divine Renovation or Father Malin, where I'm getting things happening in France, like Toulouse, France. I think I read there was 30,000 adult baptisms last year.
Yeah,
So they're, and I can see with you and Cory on the ground there that the Holy Spirit's doing some work in and will Quebec will come back.
it's all peaks and valleys, right? We see through church history, right?
Yeah.
Peaks and valleys. There's really great high points, and then there's very low points. And you know what? We're on a low point, and we're trending upward. But it's having young guys who are fervent to the Lord, who are willing to say what the church won't say, um, just to get the people back interested, and then it's going to rebuild in the faith. This year we had a Corpus Christi procession from the cathedral from Marie Reine du Monde all the way to St. Patrick's Basilica, and I'd swear there was, I'd say, at least 5,000 people. It wasn't like that since before COVID.
Wow.
So it's starting to build back up. But I'll give you a little side note is it's a lot of immigrants coming in who are believing more than the actual Quebecois, the French-speaking Quebecois in the church. There are a few, but it's mainly the immigrants that are coming in who are in love with the Lord and love the church in Quebec, and then are moving it forward.
Well, and I saw that when I was in Moncton at the mass there that was full. The priest was awesome. I think it's Father Angus
Mm.
and and similar here. Like, but there's also those coming back. I was just telling a friend that I met with a guy at one of the parishes here who's doing the RCIA and some of the sacrament prep, who prior to COVID was a C&E Catholic,
Mm.
but when the government closed his church, he's going, that's wrong. So, and then he started getting back in. So
Good.
that's what we're praying that thing at the Olympics maybe does, is
Yeah.
resonate with some people saying that's not right. But then I have to understand why it's not right. Like,
Yes.
because there's a lot of cultural Catholics
Yeah.
that maybe it'll awaken that sleeping giant. And that's where that making missionary disciples or heroic disciples is what we're hoping to do, is just grow that way, yeah, like just like Jesus did.
Absolutely. You know, I preached on those Olympics. You know, you see everything that's viral. I forget the name of that priest there. I got it sent to me like 15 times today. Hey, Deacon Cory, you got to check this guy speaking. He was giving the phone numbers and the emails of the Paris organization and the Olympic organization and everything. But I had preached on it yesterday at the 9 and 11 o'clock mass. And the response I had in the messages afterwards, they said, nobody speaks that way. We need it. So if the people are asking for it and we don't give it, that's when they're going to fall off the radar. They're not going to be interested.
Well,
So,
especially men, if you feed them the pablum, Jesus loves you, don't worry, everything's going to be okay.
yeah,
Yeah, okay, well, I'll sit at the pub because everything's okay and Jesus loves me.
I don't need to do anything.
Exactly. But we know that there's a little more to do.
There's a little more to do. And you know what? I always tell people, I said, I'm going to punch you in the face and I'm going to pick you up with Jesus. Because I'm going to give you the truth and it's not going to be nice and pretty like you like it. However, just know it's the truth and it's from Christ. And it's out of complete love, right? So, you know, you can say you love somebody and not be that way, right? You can do that. You could,
Yeah.
you could say I love you, Sean, and not have any other ulterior motives. It's just that I love you as a brother. You can say that, but people are afraid to.
Yep.
Jesus wasn't.
Well, I remember Steve Wood, who started St. Joseph's Covenant Keepers and ignited my ministry.
Yeah.
And he talked about the two-fisted gospel. Men resonate with the two-fisted gospel that, yeah, Jesus is a God of love, but God's also a God of justice. And you as a football coach, you didn't say, oh, don't worry, Johnny, like we're not going to keep score and we're just here to have fun, because that doesn't resonate with the boys. They want to be challenged. They want to achieve something greater.
Absolutely.
It's innate in men.
And you know what? And well, we'll go with the boys first. When I was coaching, they'd miss a pass, they'd miss a catch, they'd miss a block, they'd miss a route assignment. They were doing push-ups, but they were thinking it was punishment, but I was only making you stronger. It's the same thing in the church. I'm going to get upset. I'm going to tell you to go back to the Bible. I'm going to tell you to go to the catechism, and I'm going to tell you to go to the church fathers. But it's not out of punishment. It's out of love. Now, for men, it's the same thing. Guys, I'm going to punch you in the face with truth. No, you can't do that, and then go receive communion. You can't do it. You got to go to confession first. But Deacon Cory, you know, I'm afraid to confess. It's my 17th time doing it. Well, then when are you going to wake up? So it's that hardness they need. They need sometimes, you know, like you said, that pablum. That's what they got for many, many years.
Yep.
And now they have somebody who is a little bit anchored in their faith, a little bit anchored in their manhood, very attentive to the arts, right? People say, oh, you can't be a man and be into the art and ballet and all. I love all of it. It's art. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
People, humans are doing it. It's a gift from God. I love it. However, I'm a man's man. We're drinking tequila in the pub and we're talking how to build dudes. Let's go, guys. Right?
Yep. Well, and for me, it was I had my boys doing a lot of push-ups too when I coached rugby for years.
Yeah.
But one of it was for if they swore. That was one of my big things. Because I'm going, if you can't control your tongue, how are you going to control what you do on the field? Because it's all mind, right?
Yeah.
And for a lot of men, they don't even realize what's coming out of their mouth until you challenge them on it and call them to be better. right?
Yeah.
And
I'm going to confess, Sean, my hands are up. I'm ex-military. So what is known in the military? A little bit of a potty mouth. So
hey, I work the drilling rigs and the police service. So
there you go. So you know best. Sometimes I need to let it go a little. I'm going to be honest, not much. I go to confession, don't worry, because the word of God cannot come from my mouth. The gospel can't come from my mouth with the same vulgarity that I would give to the guys that I'm trying to motivate. But sometimes at my last men's meeting, I had to drop, let's go, guys. Get off your butts. I didn't say butts, and I kind of edged them on because I'm sick and tired of the same questions. And I didn't say that in so nice a words. So it wasn't at them, it was at the situation that we were in, And so please forgive me. I'll do my 25 push-ups when we get off the call.
okay, good. I'm glad. So I know you came in with a bucket of chicken when we rode through St. Joseph's
Yeah.
Oratory last summer,
And some
but
cigars.
and
Loved
some
it.
cigars, and yeah, we had and food is a great thing for building brotherhood.
Yeah.
So, is there a go-to dish that is Deacon Cory's specialty?
Listen, we are of the same mindset. I can see we both look kind of the same. What is not on the list is the better question.
Okay.
I eat it all.
So
But
what
I'm a pizza guy. I
yeah,
could have pizza breakfast, lunch, and supper. I eat my pizza. It's
is there a particular style? Because there's yeah, there I like mine with lots of toppings and
so when I travel to Hamilton, I have the Chicago deep dish with the meatballs and garlic.
oh,
Fantastic.
but
Then
if you're
when I'm in Montreal, I have this specific place, Serrano. They have the meat lovers, and it's fantastic. Yeah.
well,
Got to
when
go
you're in
meat lovers.
Calgary next,
Yeah.
check out Plus 39. We had a event there. We called it Savor the Stage, and they've got this beautiful pizza oven, and they make these fantastic pizzas that are
What's it called? Plus 39.
Plus 39. Angelo's the owner there. Him and I played football together in high school, and
Nice.
shout out to Plus 39, the
Good.
best pasta and pizza I think I've had in a while. We've gone back a number of times. It's only been
Nice.
open like 9 months, so
Okay. Well,
uh,
as you know, I was in Banff last end of September last year, and
yeah.
we were trying to meet up, but you were up north with the family, so I really, really, really missed seeing you then because I was there and I could have stayed a couple of days and I got to see Calgary for real.
Here's
But
hoping and praying that we can do that again in the near future.
I think that could happen very, very soon.
Oh, good.
I think that
And
could
and
happen
that's
very soon.
where that's one of the excitements that I have is just building this network across Canada with men like you that we can yeah, I'm going to talk to you more after about the discussion in the Canadian breakout session at the summit, but
Yeah.
we're really excited about being a, a Canadian identity, creating that content for men, and that's where I'm going to hopefully lean on you to help get some French content too for our brothers in Quebec and New Brunswick, and
Yeah.
so there's a hunger out there, and we
Yeah.
just want to make sure that we're working together to tap that. So one of the questions I always ask is, what advice do you give your 18-year-old self?
Get into the church now. If I can go back to 18, oh my goodness. Uh, you know, I love my wife. wholeheartedly. But I think at 18, if I knew what I knew now back then, I think I would have been a priest.
Wow.
Yeah. I have this calling that is far beyond what I can give. To guide people and to walk with people and to be with people in the most tragic or the most glorious moments. But 18 years old, hey, little Cory, listen, you got to enter the church. You got to be faithful to Christ. You got to love our Mary. And we got to pray to Saint Joseph. We got to do this, and you got to be a fervent Catholic and maybe a missionary. You know, get involved. Stop worrying about the little girls because you play football or basketball or whatever. Stop worrying about all of that. Get into the school, get into the books, learn your faith, follow Christ. Simply.
That's awesome.
The rest will come. Just rest it on him.
So as you know, we our motorcycle ride, because we stopped by there, and I started that with Jeff Cavins back in 2016.
Yeah.
I had him up there in 2019 in Montreal at the Oratory, but he talks about riding with your posse. So who are your go-to saints?
Padre Pio, number one. Saint Michael. I would say Saint John Chrysostom. And I would say St. Jerome. And I would say St. Augustine. So I have a few. I have a team. I have a full lineup. What do you want to play?
Why Padre Pio?
Padre Pio, because he fought the demon in his cell physically. Oh my goodness. He fought them. And he just woke up the next morning beat to battered, but he still won because he got up the next day. He battled them. And based on what I did in the military and coming into my faith, I had to know who the devil was. I had to know his tricks. I had to know his plight, his ways, so that anything that would creep up in me, I could beat away because I know what he's coming with. Padre Pio is fantastic. You know, obviously, you know, you got the stigmata, he's got the wounds, and he can teleport and he can kick you out of confession because you're not being truthful or you're not being fully humble. I get it. But the fact that he fought the demons in his cell, oh my.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you back him up with Saint Michael. Yeah, okay. I
back him up with Saint
you.
Michael. Then you get the conversion of Augustine. Then you get Saint John Chrysostom, who could preach anything. So yeah. I'm covering my bases, Sean. I cover my bases from the foundation.
Well, I think we're going to have some more conversations with Deacon Cory. This might have to be, we might have to get you your own show. But that's awesome. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day. I don't know if you know the Gaelic term for whiskey is Ishkabaha, which means water of life.
Ishkabaha.
And my prayer is that you continue to lead many souls to the true water of life. Thank you, brother.
Cheers, my man. To many more conversations.
Yes. Let's see if I can get my mouse over here I got to click it first before it. I hope you have enjoyed this episode of A Dram with Friends. Like and subscribe. Go to all podcast platforms to look for it on podcast, or go to godsquad.ca to support our mission.